Hello, in this video I'm going to show you how you can use the favorites feature, which is available as part of a premium membership to Cite-Builder, to further speed up your citation creation and also potentially avoid the chance of making data entry errors, spelling errors and so on. So first of all, let's look at the basic version. And here's an example here of creating a citation for a baptism record in a parish register. And you can see here that for each field, I'd have to type in the values that I want to use. Or I can cut and paste from another application, but it's, depending on how fast your typing is, it could be quite slow. Now, let's have a look at the premium version. The first difference you'll see is these purple hearts next to a lot of the fields, and that means that these fields are what we call favoritable. So it means that you can store your own favorites in a list against each field that you can then access later. So for example, I've already stored these two countries, England and Wales, against the country field. I'm just going to pick England. If I come down to the church name, I've got these church names stored. You can see in some cases, like St. John's in the Fields, it's quite a long name. So A, you're not going to want to type that in, and B, there's a good chance that you might spell it wrong sometimes, like St. John in the Fields. So if you've got it saved as a favourite that you can just use, that makes it so much easier. In this case, I'm just going to use St. James, which I've already got. Notice also if I start typing in a partial name, I get a list of potentially matching values. And the place, I'm going to put in Titherington, Gloucestershire. Now you can see here, this is a horribly long English village or parish name. Lots of potential to spell it wrong. So it's very useful to be able to just paste it in. Similarly, surnames. Yeah, you're likely to be using the same surnames over and over again. Some of them could be quite long. Some of them could be quite sort of tricky to spell. Is it McDonald or MacDonald? Let's just say we're going to pick McDonald. Also say we actually want to put a different name in there. Let's say we want to include Smith. What we do is we just type it in and we click on the heart. And that's now in our favorites. So if I come back here, and you can see Smith has been added at the top of the list of our favorites. So whenever we're on a surname field, we can use the name Smith. We could use any other name. It doesn't have to be in our favorites. You can always overtype it. And I may not want to put it in my favorites there. I'm just going to leave it. So I'm just going to move on through. You can see here other things that are likely to use over and over again is, say, a website title, the URL of the website, and so on. Now, you might be thinking, well, hang on, if I'm going to put these values in multiple times, why don't I just save a template? And you could do, but the things with a template is the same kind of citation source. And where favorites really comes in is if we now go to a different citation source. So we were doing baptisms. Let's now do burials. We've got a similar list of fields, and we can use those favorite names that we've already saved. If I look at place here, Titherington, person name, we see Smith. We'd added it before. Go down to website title. We've got the list there that we can pick from. Now obviously parish registers baptisms and parish registers burials are fairly similar, but let's see what happens if I go to, say, quite a different, let's go to Churchyard Online. So we've got a church name field there. And because the name of the field is the same as used elsewhere, church name, I've got access to that list that I'm building up and saving. And the place, there's Titherington. Person name, there's Smith. So you can see that you'd start building up, for each field, you'd start building up lists of values that you use often, and you've got those values sort of at your fingertips. And when you come to create your citations across all of the rules, if the field name is the same, which we've endeavored to try to make it, so that way the favorites that you have stored against those field names are accessible. Now, of course, you can use templates and favorites in conjunction. You may well be using your favorites to build the template, or you may have a template that doesn't have some fields completed and you're using the favorite values to complete those fields. So it's not one or the other. The two features, personal templates and favorites, can be used and are often used in conjunction with each other. Both of those are available with the premium membership. Now, you might have noticed that if I start typing in partial names, or even I type in a partial name that's stored somewhere within the favorite name, I get a list. So that's kind of handy. Say, for example, I wanted to find all my places in Hertfordshire. I just type in Hart, and there's all my places. As you saw when I started typing St James, I get everything that starts with S, St J. So you can very quickly navigate quite lengthy lists of favourites to find what you need. But as you go, you're going to start building up a lot of favourites, and you might decide that you need to do a bit of housekeeping. But if that's the case, let's go back up to the top level. We go to Manage Favourites, and here we have the option to go through and start editing and cleaning up our favourites. So for example, here I have two entries, one with uppercase, one with lowercase. I actually only want the one with lowercase, so I'm going to delete the one there. Notice also, say by default, we always had the most recent ones to the top of the list, but you can resort them into alphabetical order. And then, having resorted them into alphabetical order, you might decide that you then want to move, say for example, Titherington. So I'm going to hold Shift and click on the up arrow, move it up to the top of the list, so that whenever you get this list of places, it's in alphabetical order, apart from Titherington is at the top, because that's the one that you're accessing the most often. If, for example, I had a spelling mistake in one, let's go to the church name, and let's say it's actually not St Andrews, it's St Andrew, the Church of St Andrew. So I'm just going to edit that here, and I'm just going to clean it up, save the new value. Same with St John's. I'm just going to edit it, and I'm going to make it St John. Doesn't mean it's going to go and retrospectively change all the citations that you've already created. It does mean that moving forward, any new citations that you create will have these new updated spelling. Now, something else which is very handy to be able to do is, let's say for example, you've been doing a lot of work on a particular family line, and let's say Church of St James, it's in England, it's in Titherington, and it's a baptism record, and it's for the Smith and all the way in Smith families. And this also selects all of website names and website titles, URLs and website titles. What you can now do is you can export all these selected favorites to a file. And that file you could then send to a colleague, a family member, someone who is doing research on that same area as you are, and is using Cite-Builder and has a premium subscription. And what they can do is they can then import those favorites into, by selecting the file that you've sent them, they can import those favorites into their list of favorites, and it will either overwrite or append. So if I say import, if I check the box, it'll overwrite completely. If I leave the box blank, it'll just append them. That person can then use the same favorites that you're using, which gives a level of consistency across the citations that you're both creating. It saves them the time of going and creating a load of favorites themselves. So I hope this has been useful. it's a very powerful feature once you sort of understand where you can use the favorites, how it works in contrast to and in conjunction with personal templates, and of course, you know, the ability to be able to save your favorites to a file and send them to somebody else. Makes it very easy for you to help them out, or them to help you out, getting a good set of favorite values for a bunch of fields. Thank you for listening.